The Sunday brunch table was packed with relatives when my daughter-in-law Vivian stood up, tapped her wine glass, and said the words that would change everything. "We need to discuss Evelyn." Her voice cut through the chatter like a knife. 20 pairs of eyes turned toward me. My son Noah sat beside her, staring at his plate. My heart dropped. Vivian smiled that tight smile I'd seen her use on waiters and store clerks. "Evelyn's become bad for this family. We love her, but boundaries are necessary for everyone's peace." The room went silent. My coffee cup trembled in my hand. She continued, "So we've prepared some guidelines to help her participate in a healthier way." Noah finally looked up but not at me. He looked at Vivian and nodded. My own son. The man I'd raised alone after his father died. The boy I'd worked 3 jobs to put through college. He nodded like I was a problem that needed solving. Vivian pulled out a printed document from her purse. Actual printed pages. She'd planned this. My throat closed, but I forced myself to sit perfectly still. Around the table, my sister-in-law Marcia's mouth hung open. My nephew looked uncomfortable. But no one spoke. No one defended me. "These are just simple rules," Vivian said sweetly, sliding the papers across the table toward me. I stared at the document in front of me. The header read, "Family Participation Guidelines for Evelyn." My hands shook as I picked it up. Rule 1. No unsupervised visits with grandchildren. All interactions must be approved and monitored by Vivian or Noah. Rule 2. No giving advice unless specifically requested. Rule 3. No purchasing gifts for grandchildren without prior written approval. Rule 4. No attendance at major family events unless explicitly invited. Rule 5. No sharing personal opinions about family decisions or parenting choices. Rule 6. Contact with grandchildren limited to once per week, scheduled in advance. The list went on. 12 rules total, each one carefully worded to sound reasonable while stripping away every connection I had to my family. I read each line twice, feeling my chest tighten. Vivian watched me with satisfaction in her eyes. "We think this will reduce conflict and stress for everyone," she said. "It's really for the best." I looked at Noah, my son. The baby I'd held through countless sleepless nights. The teenager I'd defended when teachers said he'd never amount to anything. The young man whose wedding I'd helped pay for when money was tight. "Noah." My voice came out small. He cleared his throat. "Mom, it's fair. We're just trying to create healthy boundaries." Fair. The word hit me like a slap. I could have screamed. I could have thrown the papers in Vivian's face and walked out. I could have demanded that Noah grow a spine and defend his mother. But something stopped me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was hurt too deep for immediate anger. Or maybe it was something smarter than emotion. I looked at the rules again, really looked at them, and a strange calm settled over me. These rules were supposed to control me, humiliate me, push me away. But rules work both ways. If I followed them exactly to the letter, what would happen? No unsupervised visits meant I wouldn't be there to handle the chaos when Vivian couldn't manage both kids during tantrums. No advice meant I wouldn't warn them about obvious problems heading their way. No gifts meant I wouldn't cover the expensive birthday presents they couldn't afford. Limited contact meant I wouldn't be available for emergency babysitting 3 times a week. I set the papers down carefully and looked up at Vivian. "All right," I said quietly. "I'll follow every single rule. Exactly as written." Vivian blinked, surprised by my quick agreement. She'd expected tears or argument. "Well, but I'm glad you understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. And I did. Around the table, Marcia caught my eye. She knew me well enough to see something shift. But she said nothing. I folded the papers, put them in my purse and stood up. The first test came 3 days later. Vivian called Wednesday afternoon, her voice strained. "Evelyn, I need you to pick up the kids from school. I have a meeting that ran late and Noah's stuck in traffic." Before I would have dropped everything and rushed over. But the rules were clear. "I'd love to help," I said calmly, But Rule 6 states contact requires advance scheduling. This isn't scheduled. Silence. Then, are you serious right now? I'm following the guidelines exactly as you requested. You said it was important for family harmony. This is an emergency, Vivian snapped. The rules don't mention exceptions for emergencies, I replied. Perhaps you should contact your emergency backup person. You're supposed to be the backup, she said, her voice rising. Not according to Rule 4. I'm only to participate when explicitly invited to family activities. School pickup wasn't on my approved list. I heard her breathing hard through the phone. This is ridiculous, Evelyn. I'm just respecting the boundaries you established, I said gently. I want to follow your wishes exactly. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat back in my chair, coffee still warm in my hand, and waited. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Noah. Mom, seriously? Viv is freaking out. I responded simply. Just following the family guidelines. Rule 6 is very clear about scheduling. He didn't reply. That evening, I learned Vivian had to cancel her meeting and got a warning from her boss. The next 2 weeks were fascinating. I stopped doing all the invisible things I'd always done. I didn't call to check if they needed groceries. I didn't offer to watch the kids so Vivian and Noah could have date nights. I didn't drop off meals when I knew they'd had a long day. I didn't mediate when Noah's brother complained about borrowing money again. I simply followed the rules. No unsolicited help. No uninvited visits. No opinions unless requested. The silence from their house was beautiful at first. I spent those weeks rediscovering my own life. Cleaned out closets. I started painting again, something I'd abandoned years ago when Noah needed help with the kids. I joined a book club Marcia had been begging me to attend. I slept without my phone on full volume in case of emergency calls. But my phone still buzzed with texts from Noah. The washing machine is making a weird noise. You know how to fix it, right? I responded. Rule 2. No advice unless specifically requested. Mom, I'm requesting. The rule specifies family and parenting advice. Appliance repair wasn't mentioned. Perhaps call a professional. Another text days later. The kids keep asking where you are. My heart ached. Reading that one. But I responded. Rule 6 limits contact to scheduled weekly visits. Is this a request to schedule? No response. Then finally, from Vivian. We need to schedule your weekly visit. Sunday at 2 p.m. 1 hour. Perfect. I'd arrive at 2, leave at 3, and follow every rule exactly. Nothing more. Nothing less. Sunday arrived. My grandson's 7th birthday. I showed up at exactly 2 o'clock with no gift. Vivian answered the door, surprise flickering across her face. No present, she asked. I pulled out my copy of the rules from my purse. Rule 3 states no gifts without prior written approval. I received no approval for a birthday gift. It's his birthday, Evelyn. I understand. The rule doesn't mention birthday exceptions. Perhaps this is something to clarify in writing for future reference. I could see her jaw clench. Inside the living room was chaos. My grandson Lucas was crying because his birthday cake had collapsed. Someone had ordered the wrong one, and it arrived crushed. My granddaughter Sophia sat in the corner looking miserable because the entertainer cancelled last minute. Noah rushed past, phone pressed to his ear, trying to find a replacement. Before I would have jumped in. I'd baked backup cakes for 3 previous birthdays. I knew a magician who owed me a favor. I could have fixed this in 20 minutes. Instead, I sat on the couch exactly as instructed. Supervised visit. No interference. Vivian frantically tried to salvage the party while 12 children ran wild through the house. Lucas came up to me, tears streaming down his face. Grandma, my birthday is ruined. My heart broke. I pulled him close. Sometimes things don't go as planned, sweetheart. Can't you help? You always help. Not today, honey. I'm following some new family rules. Vivian shot me a look from across the room. her face red with stress and anger. At exactly 3 o'clock I stood up. "My hour is complete," I announced. Vivian was covered in frosting from attempting to fix the cake. Noah had given up on finding an entertainer and was trying to organize games himself, which wasn't going well. The children were getting cranky. "You're leaving," Noah said, bewildered. "Now." Rule 6 specifies 1 hour for weekly visits. "I'm respecting the time limit you established." But Lucas's party wasn't mentioned as an exception to the time limit, I said gently. "If you need different arrangements in future, perhaps we should update the guidelines in writing." I kissed Lucas on the forehead. "Happy birthday, sweet boy. I love you." Then I walked out. I sat in my car for a moment before driving away, letting myself feel the weight of it. This was harder than I'd expected. But I'd made my choice. That evening my phone exploded with messages. "Noah. That was cold, Mom." "Vivian. You deliberately sabotaged Lucas's birthday." "Marcia. I heard about the party. You okay?" I responded only to Marcia. Following the rules exactly. Amazing what happens when you actually listen to what people ask for. She sent back a knowing emoji. To Noah I simply wrote, "Rule 2. I cannot offer opinions unless requested. If you'd like my thoughts on the party, please submit a formal request." He didn't respond. But late that night, I received a text from Vivian's mother. "I don't know what happened between you and Vivian, but Lucas called crying. This isn't like you." I met Marcia for coffee the next morning. She'd been my closest friend since Noah was 5 years old. She knew me better than anyone. "You're playing a dangerous game," she said, stirring her latte. "Am I?" Yes. "Or am I just respecting their clearly stated wishes?" Marcia smiled slightly. "You're doing exactly what they asked, which is driving them crazy because they never actually wanted you to follow through. They wanted me to grovel and beg for acceptance," I said quietly. "They wanted me to feel small and grateful for whatever scraps of family time they allowed. And instead I'm showing them what boundaries actually mean. They work both directions." Marcia leaned back, studying me. "You've changed. 3 weeks ago you would have been devastated by this. Now you seem almost calm." "I am devastated," I admitted. "Every time Lucas asks why I'm not helping, my heart breaks. But I'm also seeing clearly for the first time in years." "Seeing what?" "That I've been holding that family together with invisible work nobody acknowledged. Vivian wanted me gone because she thought nothing would change. She thought she was in control." I sipped my coffee. "But she's not. She never was." Marcia's eyes widened. "What aren't you telling me?" I pulled out a folder from my bag. Bank statements, receipts, emails. I've been quietly covering expenses for 2 years. The kids' private school tuition when Noah's bonus didn't come through. Vivian's car payment when money was tight. Their mortgage twice. Marcia flipped through the papers, her expression darkening. "They never told you thank you for any of this?" "They don't know about most of it," I said. "Noah would ask for temporary loans he never mentioned repaying. Vivian would hint about struggles, and I'd quietly handle things. I thought I was helping my family." "You were. But they took advantage." "Not anymore," I said firmly. "Rule 3 says no financial gifts without approval. So I've stopped. Every automatic payment, every quiet bank transfer, every covered expense. Done." Marcia's eyes went wide. "Evelyn, their mortgage is due in 3 days and they're 2,000 short." "No. I've been covering the gap for 14 months. What happens when they can't pay?" I shrugged. "Not my concern. I'm following the rules they established. They wanted boundaries. Here they are." Marcia sat back, looking at me with new respect. "You've been planning this?" "No," I said honestly. "I've been documenting everything for years. Just in case. I never thought I'd need it, but when Vivian handed me those rules in front of the entire family, something clicked. If they want to treat me like an outsider, fine. But outsiders don't fund your life." My phone buzzed. "Noah, Mom, did you transfer money into our account this month? I showed Marcia. She whistled low. Here we go. I typed back. Rule 3 prohibits financial gifts without written approval. I received no approval request this month. His response was immediate. This isn't a gift, it's help. The rule doesn't distinguish. Perhaps clarify in writing what you need going forward. 3 dots appeared and disappeared. Then silence. Sunday came again. My scheduled visit. This time, I arrived to find Vivian waiting at the door with a forced smile. Evelyn, come in. We're so glad to see you. The house was suspiciously clean. Both kids sat on the couch, clearly instructed to behave. Noah stood in the kitchen doorway looking uncomfortable. I've prepared tea, Vivian said, her voice too bright. We can all sit together. I settled into the armchair, keeping my purse with its copy of the rules close. Vivian poured tea with hands that shook slightly. So, she began, we wanted to discuss possibly adjusting some of the guidelines. Adjusting? I asked innocently. Well, we've realized that perhaps they're too rigid. Family should be flexible, shouldn't they? I took a sip of tea. You were very clear that these rules were necessary for family peace. Has something changed? Noah jumped in. Mom, we just think maybe we can find some middle ground. The rules are the middle ground, I said calmly. You established them. I'm honoring them. Isn't this what you wanted? Vivian's smile tightened. We wanted cooperation, not malicious compliance. Malicious? I set down my teacup. I'm following your exact instructions. If the results aren't what you expected, perhaps the rules need reconsideration. You know what I mean, Evelyn, Vivian snapped. Her mask was slipping. You deliberately left Lucas's party at the worst moment. You're refusing to help when we genuinely need you. Rule 4 states I'm only to attend events when explicitly invited. I wasn't invited to stay beyond my scheduled hour. Vivian's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. You're twisting everything. I'm following everything exactly as written, I replied. If there's confusion, we should clarify the guidelines. In writing, of course. Noah ran his hand through his hair. Mom, the mortgage payment. You didn't. Rule 3, I said gently. No financial gifts without approval. You didn't request approval. We need that money, he said desperately. Then perhaps you should budget better. Or earn more. Or spend less. Those are all personal decisions that fall under Rule 2. I cannot offer opinions unless requested. I'm requesting, Noah said. Formally. Please, Mom. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He was tired, stressed, and finally realizing what he'd lost. Noah, for 2 years I've quietly funded your lifestyle. Vivian's shopping habits. The private school you couldn't actually afford. The car lease beyond your means. The family vacations on credit cards you couldn't pay off. I did it because I love you and wanted you happy. His face went pale. Vivian's eyes widened. But when you sat silently while your wife publicly humiliated me, when you called her rules fair, you made a choice. You chose her comfort over my dignity. That has consequences. We can fix this, Vivian said quickly. We'll tear up the rules right now. I shook my head. No, the rules stay exactly as written. Because now I understand something important. You need me far more than I need you. The silence was deafening. Lucas peeked around the doorway, sensing tension. I smiled at him. It's okay, sweetheart. Adults are just talking. Then I stood. My hour is up. See you next Sunday. The next week was illuminating. Noah called twice, texts became desperate. Mom, Sophia's school called. They need someone to pick her up early. She's sick. Rule 6. Unscheduled contact requires advance approval. She's 7 and throwing up. And you're her father. Perhaps leave work early. He hung up angry. Vivian sent an email. Evelyn, I'm requesting approval to adjust the guidelines. We clearly need more flexibility for emergencies. I responded. Approved to discuss adjustments. Please submit proposed changes in writing for review. Days passed. No proposals came. Meanwhile, I joined a pottery class. Started volunteering at the library. Had lunch with old friends I'd neglected while managing Noah's household chaos. Marcia and I took a weekend trip to the coast. I felt lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed less. When it did, I stuck to the rules. Brief. Scheduled. Boundaried. Then came the urgent call from Noah's brother, Tyler. Evelyn, Noah's in trouble. Some financial thing. He won't tell me details, but he's panicking. Can you help? Has he requested my help? Yes. He's too proud, Tyler said. But he needs his mom. Tyler, your brother established rules for my involvement in his life. Until he formally requests my participation within those guidelines, my hands are tied. This is serious, Evelyn. Then he should take it seriously enough to actually ask for help properly. Tyler sighed. You're really sticking to this. Every word of it. That evening my doorbell rang. Noah stood there, eyes red, envelope in hand. I need help, he whispered. I stepped aside to let him in. Noah collapsed onto my couch, head in his hands. Everything's falling apart, Mom. I sat across from him, waiting. Years of being his mother told me to comfort him immediately. But I held back. The mortgage company called, he said. We're 60 days behind. I thought we had more time, but apparently the grace period ended. They're starting foreclosure procedures. That's serious, I said calmly. We can't lose the house. Vivian will kill me. The kids. His voice broke. Their school friends live in that neighborhood. Sophia's finally settled. I felt the familiar pull to fix everything. But I resisted. What do you need from me, Noah? Money, he said bluntly. Just enough to catch up. 4,000 total. I'll pay you back, I swear. You've said that before, I observed. He flinched. I know. But this time I mean it. Noah, I love you. But I can't keep funding a lifestyle you cannot afford while being treated like a problem in your life. I never thought you were a problem, he protested. You sat there while Vivian called me bad for the family. You called her rules fair. You watched her humiliate me in front of everyone we know, and you did nothing. Tears filled his eyes. I was trying to keep peace in my marriage. By sacrificing your mother. My voice stayed steady. That's not peace, Noah. That's cowardice. He looked up shocked. I'd never spoken to him this harshly. Vivian was insecure, he said weakly. She felt like you were controlling everything. Was I controlling? Or was I holding everything together while she spent money you didn't have and played perfect mother on social media? Noah couldn't answer. The truth sat between us, heavy and undeniable. I have a proposal, I said finally. I'll give you the 4,000. But there are conditions. Anything, he said desperately. I pulled out a document I'd prepared. First, you acknowledge in writing that I've provided approximately $47,000 in financial support over the past 2 years. This is a loan, not a gift. Repayment terms are included. His eyes widened reading the amount. I didn't realize it was that much. Because I never wanted you to feel burdened. But you need to understand the reality of your dependence. I continued. Second, you and Vivian attend 3 financial counseling sessions. I've already found a counselor. Here's her information. Financial counseling. Your spending is unsustainable. Either you learn to live within your means, or this pattern repeats forever. I won't enable that. He nodded slowly. Third, I said, my voice softening, you apologize to me. Publicly. In front of the same people who witnessed Vivian's rules announcement. Noah's head snapped up. Mom. You let me be humiliated without defending me. If you want my help, I need you to acknowledge that wasn't okay. Vivian won't like that, he said quietly. Then you have a choice to make, I replied. Your wife's pride or your family's home. Your wife's control or your mother's dignity. Choose carefully. He stared at the document for a long moment. Then he picked up my pen and signed. I'll talk to Vivian tonight. I handed him a check. The apology happens at Marcia's birthday dinner next week. She's invited the same family members. If you're not there, this is the last financial help you'll receive from me. He took the check with shaking hands. Marcia's birthday dinner was tense from the start. She'd arranged it perfectly at the same restaurant where Vivian had humiliated me. The same relatives filled the tables. Tyler and his wife, my sister-in-law, cousins who'd witnessed everything. Vivian arrived late, her smile strained. She'd clearly fought with Noah about this. He looked miserable beside her, shoulders hunched. I sat calmly, dressed beautifully, looking healthier than I had in months. The weight I'd been carrying had lifted. When dessert arrived, Noah stood up. The table quieted. I need to say something, he began, voice tight. A few weeks ago at a family brunch, my wife Vivian presented my mother with a list of rules for family participation. I sat there and supported those rules. I called them fair. He looked at me, eyes glistening. I was wrong. Mom has been the backbone of our family for years. She's helped us financially, emotionally, and practically in ways I never properly acknowledged. Instead of defending her when she needed me, I chose the easy path. I let her be publicly humiliated to avoid conflict in my marriage. Vivian's face had gone white. Around the table, relatives shifted uncomfortably. Mom, I'm sorry, Noah said, his voice breaking. You deserved so much better from me. You deserved a son who stood up for you. Instead, you got someone who took you for granted until you weren't there anymore. Tears ran down his face. I'm asking you in front of everyone here to forgive me. And I'm promising to do better. The silence was absolute. I stood slowly, walked to my son and hugged him. I forgive you, I whispered. Then I looked at Vivian. I'm still following your rules. Vivian's face crumbled. Evelyn, The rules stay, I said firmly but not unkindly. Because they taught me something valuable. I don't need to be needed. I don't need to be indispensable. I need to be respected. I respect you, Vivian said desperately. Do you? Or do you just need my money and free labor? She couldn't answer. Around the table, family members watched. This was the moment of truth. I'll continue my scheduled visits, I said. 1 hour Sunday afternoons. I'll follow every rule exactly as written. And when you're ready to treat me like family instead of a problem to be managed, we can discuss new terms. What if I tear up the rules right now? Vivian asked. Then you're breaking an agreement you made publicly and formally. That says something about your character. Marcia spoke up from her seat. Vivian, I've known Evelyn for 15 years. She's the most reliable, generous person I've ever met. She raised Noah alone after his father died. She worked multiple jobs to give him opportunities. She's been there for this family in ways you've never appreciated. When your car broke down last year, Marcia continued, who paid for repairs? When Sophia needed emergency dental work, who covered it? When you wanted to join that expensive gym, who made it possible? Vivian's face flushed. I don't know what you. Evelyn did, Marcia said flatly. Always quietly. Always without asking for recognition. Until you decided she was bad for the family. Tyler added. My brother's been borrowing money from Mom for years. Thousands of dollars. Never paid back. And she never mentioned it because she didn't want him to feel bad. Noah's face went pale. He hadn't known others knew. The truth was spilling out in front of everyone. Vivian stood abruptly. I won't be attacked like this. No one's attacking you, I said calmly. We're stating facts. You wanted boundaries. These are mine. Honesty, respect, and reciprocity. When you're ready for those, we can rebuild our relationship. And until then, she asked, voice shaking. Until then, I follow your rules exactly. No more, no less. Vivian grabbed her purse and rushed out. Noah hesitated. looking between his mother and his wife, then followed Vivian. Marcia raised her glass. To Evelyn, who finally put herself first. The table toasted. My sister-in-law hugged me. Tyler squeezed my hand. For the first time in years, I felt truly supported by my family. Not because I was useful, but because I was valued. The next week was quiet. No desperate calls. No emergency text. I spent Sunday afternoon in my scheduled visit, playing quietly with the grandchildren while Vivian watched from the kitchen. The house felt different. Tense but somehow clearer. On Wednesday, an envelope arrived in the mail. Inside was a check for $1,000. Noah's handwriting on the memo line. First payment. Thank you, Mom. I stared at it for a long moment, then deposited it. Actions meant more than apologies. That weekend, Vivian requested a meeting. Just us two. I agreed, curious. We met at a neutral coffee shop. She looked exhausted, her usual perfect appearance slightly disheveled. I owe you an apology, she said without preamble. Waited. I was jealous, Vivian admitted. Of you. The kids adored you. Noah always talked about what a strong woman you were. I felt like I could never measure up. So you tried to eliminate the competition, I said quietly. She nodded, tears forming. It was stupid and cruel. I convinced myself you were overbearing, but really I was insecure. Vivian wiped her eyes. When you started following the rules exactly, everything fell apart. I realized how much you actually did. How much I relied on you while resenting you. That must have been difficult to recognize, I said, my voice neutral. It was humiliating, she admitted. The kids kept asking for you. Noah was stressed about money. The house felt chaotic without you smoothing everything over. I'd built this perfect image of being the ideal mother and wife, but it only worked because you were supporting us behind the scenes. I sipped my coffee, letting her continue. I looked through our finances, Vivian said. Actually looked, instead of just swiping the credit card. We've been living beyond our means for 2 years. The private school, the new car, the vacations. Noah's salary couldn't cover it, but somehow we never faced consequences. Because I covered the gaps, I said. Because you covered them, she agreed. Without ever making us feel bad about it. You just quietly fixed things. She took a shaky breath. I don't know how to do what you do. I don't know how to manage a household and kids and still have energy left. You made it look effortless. It wasn't effortless, I said. It was decades of practice and sacrifice. And it was done out of love, not obligation. I know that now. Vivian looked at me directly. I can't undo what I did. But I want to try to make it right. What would that look like? I considered carefully. First, the rules you created stay in place for 3 months. You need to function independently without relying on me. Her face fell, but she nodded. Second, you attend financial counseling with Noah. Learn to live within your actual means. We already started, she said. He told you. He shows me the appointment confirmations. Vivian nodded. The counselor is brutal but helpful. She's making us track every expense. It's embarrassing how much we've wasted. Embarrassment can be educational, I said without judgment. Third, you rebuild trust through actions, not words. Show me you've changed. That takes time. How long? She asked. As long as it takes, I replied. I've given you years of support. You gave me public humiliation. The balance doesn't restore quickly. She flinched but accepted it. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why didn't you just cut us off completely? Why still come for the scheduled visits? I thought about Lucas's face when I'd left his birthday party. About Sophia asking where Grandma was. Because I love my grandchildren. And despite everything, I love Noah. But love doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. It means having boundaries. I never learned that, Vivian said quietly. My mother did everything for everyone. She never said no. I thought that's what good mothers did. Your mother and I are different people. I say no when necessary. I set boundaries. And I expect respect in return. She nodded slowly. The kids miss you. Real visits, not supervised ones. They can miss me, I said gently. Missing someone teaches them that relationships have consequences. That people have worth beyond their usefulness. Vivian stood to leave, then hesitated. For what it's worth, Noah was right. You are the strongest woman I know. I wish I'd seen that sooner. After she left, I sat with my coffee, processing. This was progress. Small, uncertain, but real. My phone buzzed. Marcia. How'd it go? Me. Time will tell. But I'm not backing down. Marcia. Good. You've taught them all something important. Me. What's that? Marcia. That grace has limits, and boundaries have power. 2 months passed. I maintained my Sunday visits. 1 hour exactly. Watched as Noah and Vivian slowly adjusted to their actual income. The new car was traded for a reliable used one. Shopping trips decreased. Family dinners became simpler. The kids adapted better than expected. Lucas told me during one visit, Mom says we're learning to appreciate what we have. Smiled. That's a good lesson. Sophia asked, Are you still mad at Mommy? I was hurt, I corrected gently. There's a difference. But hurt can heal if people work to fix what they broke. She hugged me tight. I'm glad you still visit. Me too, sweetheart. Vivian started sending me updates voluntarily. Photos of the kids. Stories about their days. Nothing demanding, just sharing. Noah's loan payments arrived monthly on time. Small amounts but consistent. 3 months after our coffee shop meeting, Vivian sent a formal request. Evelyn, I'm requesting approval to invite you to Thanksgiving dinner. Full participation, no time limit. The kids would love to have you there all day. I sat with the request for 2 days. Marcia advised me over lunch. Do you trust them? She asked. I trust they're trying, I said. That's not quite the same thing. No, but it's a start. They followed through on counseling, budgeting, loan payments. Vivian's been respectful. Noah's been communicative. So you'll go. With conditions, I said. I drafted a response. I accept your invitation with appreciation. I'll arrive at noon and help with meal preparation if desired. In return, I ask that we have a family discussion about permanently revising the guidelines to reflect mutual respect and realistic expectations. Vivian's response came within an hour. Agreed. Thank you for giving us another chance. Thanksgiving morning felt surreal. I arrived at Noah's house at noon carrying ingredients for my famous stuffing. The one everyone had always requested. Vivian opened the door, smile genuine this time. Evelyn. Thank you for coming. Inside, the house smelled like turkey and pie. The kids shrieked and hugged me. Grandma's here all day. Lucas shouted. Finally. Noah appeared from the kitchen, apron on, looking slightly panicked. Mom, the turkey thermometer is giving weird readings. Can you? He stopped himself. Sorry, I'm requesting your advice on the turkey situation. Smiled. I'm happy to help. We spent the afternoon cooking together. Vivian asked questions about my recipes instead of pretending she didn't need guidance. Noah followed my instructions without his usual pride getting in the way. The kids set the table with construction paper place cards they'd made at school. As we sat down to eat, Vivian stood up. Before we start, I want to say something. The table quieted. This year I'm grateful for second chances. For family members who love us enough to set boundaries when we need them. And especially for Evelyn, who showed me that being a strong woman means knowing your worth and demanding respect. She looked at me directly. I'm sorry for how I treated you. Not just the rules but the years of taking advantage of your generosity. You deserved better from all of us. Noah added. I'm grateful for a mother who loves me enough to let me fail, so I could learn to succeed properly. The past few months have been hard but necessary. Thank you, Mom. My throat tightened with emotion. I'm grateful for family that can grow and change. For grandchildren who remind me what matters. and for the chance to rebuild relationships on foundations of honesty instead of obligation. We ate together, really together, for the first time in years. After dinner, while the kids played outside, the three of us sat at the kitchen table. About the guidelines, Vivian began. I'd like to formally retract them. They were wrong from the start. I shook my head. Don't retract them. Revise them. Noah looked confused. What do you mean? The concept of boundaries wasn't wrong, I explained. The execution was. We need guidelines that work for everyone, not rules designed to control and exclude. I pulled out a document I'd prepared. I've drafted a proposal. Family participation guidelines that respect everyone's needs, time, and autonomy. Vivian took the papers, reading carefully. These guidelines included mutual respect clauses, financial transparency requirements, communication expectations, scheduled family time that honored everyone's commitments, emergency protocols that didn't assume my constant availability but acknowledged I'd help when genuinely needed, recognition that I had my own life, interests, and priorities beyond being Noah's mother. This is fair, Vivian said quietly. Actually fair, not just performatively fair. Noah pointed to one section. This part about financial support. You're saying you'll help in genuine emergencies, but not to subsidize overspending. Exactly, I confirmed. I love you both. But enabling isn't helping. If you truly need emergency support, I'm here. But lifestyle inflation isn't an emergency. That's more than fair, Noah agreed. It's us taking responsibility for our choices. Vivian signed the document. I agree to all of this. Noah signed next. Then I added my signature. 3 copies, one for each of us. As I tucked my copy into my purse, Lucas ran in from outside. Grandma, can you stay for a movie? We got the one you like about the penguins. I looked at Vivian and Noah. They both nodded. I'd love to, I said. We settled on the couch, kids on either side of me, and watched animated penguins save Antarctica. Halfway through, Sophia fell asleep against my shoulder. Lucas dozed on my other side. I glanced at Noah and Vivian, watching from the love seat. They were holding hands, looking peaceful. This felt like family. Real family. Not perfect but honest. Not easy but worth it. The months that followed weren't perfect. There were stumbles and miscommunications. But there was also genuine effort from everyone. Vivian started a part-time job, adding income and finding identity outside of being Noah's wife and the kids' mother. She discovered she was actually good at marketing and enjoyed the work. Noah got serious about budgeting. He tracked expenses religiously and found areas to cut spending without sacrificing family happiness. They sold some furniture they'd bought on credit and paid down debt. I maintained healthy boundaries. I babysat when asked with advance notice, but not as an on-call service. I gave financial advice when requested, but didn't manage their money for them. I participated in family events fully, but also prioritized my own interests and friendships. The kids adjusted beautifully. They saw adults modeling healthy relationships with boundaries and mutual respect. In February, Vivian's mother visited from out of state. I'd met her only twice before, at Noah's wedding and Lucas's birth. She was polished and formal, the type who valued appearances above authenticity. At a family dinner during her visit, she made a comment that revealed everything. Vivian, dear, you really should redecorate the living room. It looks rather shabby. Before, Vivian would have agreed immediately and found ways to spend money they didn't have on new furniture. Instead, she said calmly, I like it this way, Mother. It's comfortable and functional for our family. Her mother blinked, surprised. But what will people think? I've learned that living for other people's opinions is exhausting, Vivian replied. We're focused on what actually matters to us. She glanced at me and smiled. Her mother turned to me. Evelyn, surely you agree the room needs updating. I think Vivian and Noah should decorate however makes them happy, I said neutrally. Their home, their choice. The conversation moved on, but later Vivian pulled me aside. Did you see my mother's face? She whispered. That felt amazing. Standing up for yourself usually does, I said with a smile. She hugged me spontaneously. Thank you for teaching me that. I spent 30 years trying to please her and never succeeding. Watching you set boundaries showed me it was possible. It's always possible, I said. Just scary at first. In March, Noah got a promotion at work. Better salary, more responsibility. He came to my house to tell me in person. Mom, I wanted you to hear this directly. I got the senior manager position. 20% raise. I hugged him. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without the tough love you gave us, he admitted. When money was tight and you weren't there to bail us out, I had to prove my worth at work. Had to take on extra projects and show leadership. I'd been coasting before. You were capable all along, I said. You just needed motivation to show it. He handed me an envelope. This is the final payment on the loan. $47,000, paid in full. Plus 10% interest, which you never asked for but you're getting anyway. I opened it seeing the check. My eyes filled with tears. Noah, you gave me everything growing up, he said. His voice thick with emotion. Your time, your money, your future. The least I can do is pay you back properly. I never expected repayment, I said. I know. That's why you deserve it. We sat together on my porch, watching the sunset, and I felt the last piece of hurt heal over. This was who I'd raised. A good man who'd temporarily lost his way but found it again. In April, the school called my phone directly. Lucas had gotten sick during class. The school secretary said, "We tried his parents first, but both are unreachable. You're listed as emergency contact. Can you pick him up?" "I'll be there in 15 minutes, I said. I collected Lucas, who looked miserable with a fever. Took him to my house, gave him medicine, and settled him on the couch with juice and cartoons. Then I texted Noah and Vivian. School called. Lucas has a fever. He's with me. Take your time. Vivian called immediately, panicked. Is he okay? I'm so sorry, I was in a meeting with my phone silenced. He's fine, I assured her. Fever of 101, nothing serious. He's resting comfortably. I can leave work right now, she said. No need. Have him. He's safe and cared for. Handle your meeting. Pick him up when you're done. Evelyn, thank you. Really? That's what family does, I said simply. When Vivian arrived 3 hours later, Lucas was asleep on my couch, fever reduced. She looked at him with such love and relief. He looks peaceful. Kids are resilient, I said. You're a good mother, Vivian. You've grown so much this past year. Her eyes filled with tears. I was terrible to you. Those rules, that brunch, all of it. I can't believe you forgave me. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I said gently. It's choosing to move forward despite the past. You've worked hard to earn trust back. That matters. She hugged me tightly. You're the mother I wish I'd had growing up. Strong but kind. Boundaried but loving. I'm trying to be that for my own kids. You're doing it, I assured her. In May, Marcia and I took a 2-week trip to Europe. Something I dreamed about for years but never done because I was always needed at home. Noah and Vivian managed beautifully without me. I got daily photos of the kids doing homework, eating dinner, enjoying their routines. Having the best time in Paris. I texted with a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Noah responded, You deserve it, Mom. Enjoy every minute. When I returned, tanned and happy, the whole family met me at the airport. Lucas and Sophia made welcome home signs. Vivian brought flowers. Noah carried my luggage. We missed you, Sophia announced. But we did okay without you. I knew you would, I said, hugging them all. That's when I understood completely. I taught them to need me less so they could love me better. And it worked. Sunday dinner became our tradition. Not because rules required it but because we all wanted it. We rotated houses. Sometimes at Noah's. Sometimes at mine. Once a month at Marcia's because she'd become family too. The kids grew. Lucas started middle school. Sophia discovered she loved soccer. Noah continued advancing at work. Vivian's part-time job became full-time. I expanded my volunteer work and took up painting seriously. My art even sold at a local gallery. One Sunday in November, a year after that difficult Thanksgiving, we gathered at my house. I cooked my famous stuffing. Vivian brought homemade pie. Noah grilled turkey on my back porch. The kids set the table with the same construction paper place cards, now well-worn and precious. As we sat down to eat, I looked around the table at these people I loved. This family that had broken and healed. I'm grateful, I said, for second chances. For boundaries that taught us all respect. For the courage to stand up for myself, even when it was terrifying. And for a family that chose to grow instead of giving up. Noah raised his glass. To Mom, who taught us that love means accountability, not enabling. Vivian added. To Evelyn, who showed me strength doesn't mean dominance. It means knowing your worth. Lucas chimed in. To Grandma, who's the coolest person ever. Sophia giggled. And makes the best stuffing. We clinked glasses and ate together. After dinner, washing dishes side by side with Vivian, she said quietly, I'm sorry it took those awful rules for us to get here. Maybe we needed them, I said. Sometimes people have to break completely to rebuild correctly. Did you ever doubt, she asked, that we'd fix this? Every single day, I admitted. But I had faith in the foundation. I raised Noah to be better than his worst moment. And I believed you loved your family enough to change. She squeezed my hand. Thank you for not giving up on us. Outside I heard Noah playing with the kids. Their laughter filled my home with warmth. This was what I'd fought for. Not perfection. Not constant togetherness. But honest, boundaried, respectful love. The kind that survives tests because it's built on truth. I'd spent years being the family glue, invisible and unappreciated. Those rules had freed me from that role. And in freedom I'd found something better. I'd found myself. And my family, truly seeing me for the first time, had found something better too. Respect, balance, authentic connection. As the evening ended and everyone prepared to leave, Lucas hugged me tight. Same time next week, Grandma? Same time, I confirmed. I'll be here. And I would be. Not because rules demanded it. Not because they needed me. But because I chose it. And that made all the difference.